Northern Kenya is this mystical place that people know little about. The tribes are totally different. The terrain is different. If you and I were dropped off here to survive, in 3 days we'd be dead. We don't know where to get water, how to get water, where to get food, what to eat, we can't even stand the heat.
It made me think about what Jesus said, I'll be with you to the ends of the earth. And I was pretty sure that we had arrived at the ends of the earth.
If we go, make sure that we don't forget anything at all. We are living to another planet and we cannot come back to Earth.
Maranatha has worked in remote locales throughout its history, but one of the most challenging in recent memory is an area called Ileret. Located in northern Kenya near the Ethiopian border, Ileret is extremely remote, hot, and dry. There is no clean water anywhere. Recent years of drought have made the situation worse. Yet the Daasanach tribe has lived on the shores of Lake Turkana and into Ethiopia for generations and have mostly retained their traditional way of life. Though far from modern civilization, this region may be known to some in the outside world because of significant archaeological finds. Discoveries of prehistoric bones and skulls and a fossil said to be the first human footprint lead this area to be regarded by some as the cradle of humanity. The Daasanach who live here today are pastoralists, tending to livestock and moving from place to place to find water and food for their flocks. Temperatures in Ileret can reach over 100 degrees, and in recent memory, there may be no rain for more than a year. Although the region has a large body of water in Lake Turkana, it is salty and dirty. Instead, the people dig down into dry riverbeds to find pockets of water that seep up from the earth. Some of these holes go down 15 to 20 feet. The water that is scooped out is not clean, but it is all that they have. This is Dawo. She's a 15-year-old mother of one. Her days are filled with scooping water out of these holes. Dawo's day starts early. Food isn't abundant here, so the day starts with tea. After preparing the drink for the children, she leaves her home and makes the long walk down to a riverbed. The task of collecting water usually falls to the women and girls of the village, who sometimes travel in groups for safety. Dawo and the other women climb down into a deep hole, which can be challenging in itself. Luckily for Dawo, her hole has a pool of water at the bottom. She won't have to scoop sand away to find water. Unfortunately, this water is completely muddy. A team approach is used as jugs and containers are passed down and their heavy contents hoisted back up the wall of the hole. Sometimes even these holes dry up. Maranatha first heard about Ileret when the Seventh-day Adventist Church in East Central Africa asked us to build churches for the growing congregations amongst the Daasanach. An Adventist missionary had been sent years before, and the gospel was taking hold. But these new Adventist congregations were meeting under trees and needed larger covered spaces to protect them from the sun's scorching rays. In 2016, Maranatha's one-day church team made the journey to Ileret and constructed 4 churches in different villages throughout the area. While there, we became aware of the people's desperate need for water.
The people, my goodness, what a tough life they have here. Always looking for water. That's how their life runs. I mean, they go into these dry riverbeds and they're digging for water way down deep and just putting a little bit into a cup, trying to survive. we had to come back. And we began making plans right away to do that. And it's very difficult, challenging. It's logistically difficult. Everything has to be brought up here. Your machinery, your trucks, your pipes, your fuel, your food, all the leadership people. If you forget something, you can't run down to the store and pick it up. Everything has to come.
The journey would take the team 5 days across long stretches of barren landscape without any roads or repair shops to fix mechanical breakdowns.
So the preparation was really big. Everybody was assigned to do a chore or something like that. Everybody is assigned to this task, to that task, so that we have to make sure nothing is forgotten.
We had to pack like extra tires, tubes, and valves. We had to pack extra hose pipes because of the radiators, and then we had to carry extra coolant. We have 8,000 liters of water in our truck, which can carry water, and then we have a 3,000-liter tank of diesel, and on top of that we had to carry 1,500 on plastic cylinders. That is all for diesel, for drilling. The journey from Nairobi to here, it was one of its own kind. It's a mind-blowing thing, which I'll never forget.
For 2 days, the convoy traveled on paved roads near Maranatha's headquarters near the capital city of Nairobi to the town of Marsabit. From there, the paved road ended.
And then from the next day, that was the day which the real trip began. We had to divert from tarmac to being on rough road, which was just on another level. We could just go on at a speed of maximum, let's say 10 to 20 kilometers per hour. A convoy of 10 cars full of dust. This was very challenging. So the temperatures were 104 to 107. It's unfortunate that most of our trucks don't have air condition or maybe a blower. We were just running on open windows. It's only the small trucks which have air condition. Our rig doesn't have it. So we could just open the windows, open the pop roof, and make it like you could just go with an open roof, just to absorb some small wind which is accumulated with dust. It's just not a pure wind.
The journey, I had recorded that in the gauge, is like more or less 1,000 kilometers away. But it seemed like it's the longest trip because of the condition of the road.
Longtime Maranatha volunteer and supporter John Thomas grew up in Kenya and was a high school principal here as well. He accompanied the team on the journey.
It varies from sand to volcanic boulders you have to negotiate around, replacing broken parts en route such as spring shackles, steering linkage, coolant systems on the trucks, fuel systems that had to be repaired. It was just an ongoing adventure of how far can you get before you stop to do another repair, really caused by the roughness of the roads.
There's some place whereby we found only sand. There's no road. You have to make it by your own self. So we had to remove thorns, we had to remove rocks, and then make the trucks pass, and then you should check in between the tires for the trucks not to have a piece of rock so that it cannot burst. So we had so many challenges, and we had to clear also some bushes which are full of thorns. If you don't have patience and you are not dedicated to the mission which you are going to, then you will call it off.
Before coming to Ileret, we really had to set our minds for whatever would come. We already had seen something like it's gonna be a very difficult time for us. 1 month. So whatever it is, we're very ready to face it.
When we come back, the crew makes it to Ileret and sets to work drilling water for the Daasanach people. Despite multiple mechanical breakdowns in triple-digit heat, the convoy made it through the Chalpi Desert and finally arrived to the Ileret area. The one-day church crew who also came along started working on a new place of worship for the Nangoli Seventh-day Adventist congregation. The drilling team set up near the village of Sericho, optimistic about finding water quickly as the geological report showed possible water at a relatively shallow depth. But in the triple-digit heat, the extreme temperatures started melting rubber hydraulic pipes on the drilling rig.
At Sericho, we had high expectations because we're used in drilling. But it was unfortunate that when we started drilling, the weather was too hot. We could not do it during daytime. So in that evening, we started drilling, whereby we experienced another challenge. The walls were collapsing, and we noticed that. When drilling, there's vibration and pressure. When that pressure and vibration hits down, then the walls tend to collapse. And this is going to prevent the drilling stem to rotate or move up and down. So that's what we call collapsing. If it collapses, it gives you a challenge because you cannot either go up or down or rotate. You have to use a temporary casing to hold the soil so that you can continue drilling deeper. So we ended up putting temporary casings and cased the hole. Luckily, by God's will, we reached at a certain level where we hit water, and everybody was happy. And then the next day, we had to prepare for the pump installation. Everybody woke up. We had to flush the well out. So when we are flushing the well, we normally use air, whereby it removes all small particles from the wells. This is whereby we also add something called as foam. It's more of a soap, which helps in cleaning up the well. It was huge. Water was like 2,000 liters per hour. That is 2 cubic, and it was joy everywhere. They have never seen water that much close, so they could not know how to react about it. They were just in a shock. But you could just see in their faces, them pointing each other, showing by fingers, and that was a very clear sign that they were happy.
The drilling team then moved to the village of Watali, home to Dawo. She and the rest of the village watched the work all day.
Biar anda jira cina, biar tanah lada cafu, biar anda mer. Biar argam dia nyaharica, biar melbaral ala kau jaha, biar melbaral jaha do. Gon melba yu arge, biar cuba gon melba arge, tapi minta kesana memang bana, gon kunyum melba. Daram boy ada daram cafa ya jaba, karayu hafaz.
Dawo's dream rested on the hopes that the drilling team would find water. But as drilling continued, the crew encountered the same problem as Sericho, a collapsing hole. But this time, it was bigger and unsalvageable.
That was the most difficult time because everybody lost the morale. You come to drill a well and then you're not getting water. That was very discouraging. So we went back into the ODC building. We sat down, we prayed to God, and we said, God, if you've sent us here to do your mission, may it be done.
The decision was made to attempt a new well about 100 feet from the initial one. Again, as drilling proceeded, the sandy earth began collapsing the hole. This time, however, the team painstakingly inserted protective casing to protect the hole. Yet, by 9 p.m. that night, they stopped without finding water.
Everybody was discouraged. We went to have our evening vespers. We prayed to God. We went to bed knowing that there's no water. And the next day we woke up early in the morning. We tried to flush the well, but there was nothing. We requested our driller to go one rod more deeper so that we could see whether we can have something for this community because everybody was here looking at us. And luckily, God answered our prayer within that well. We hit water and everybody was shouting, everybody was happy because there was water finally. The community came, started shouting, thanking God. Finally, we have something to drink.
There were tears shed even by some of the Kenya Maranatha workers because this obviously now was a direct answer to prayer. The first well was absolutely barren, just holes in the ground. The disappointment was heavy. Numerous special prayers. I even saw some Maranatha workers by themselves gathered around the back end of a truck in the shade praying while we're doing this well. So there is a semblance of spirituality and belief in God, that this is not just a human venture. This is a God venture. The land is so barren, the rainfall is such a little amount that even the geology report says they don't know where the aquifers come from, because the geological structure from the volcanic base layers do not facilitate underground rivers, which we try and tap into. So this is fully something has to happen that's more than human technology to try and capture water in this barren place. It was an amazing emotional high, kind of mixture of emotions anyway, to see water come out of that well.
When we come back, the drilling team moves to the next village, but encounters yet another challenge along the way. After bringing water to Watali, the crew packed up and headed toward the village of Elbagosh. But first, they'd have to cross a wide riverbed with deep sand.
So our big support truck for the drill rig, which is full of water and other supplies, gets right on the top before it even goes down into the river, and there's a lot of silty sand, and he thought he had engaged his four-wheel drive, but it had not engaged, and it got stuck, buried down to the belly. Out came the shovels. A lot of shoveling, not just around the wheels, but underneath, because the differential and axle was all hung up. Got it all shoveled out and made sure it was in four-wheel drive, six-wheel drive with the big tires, and it took off and went down through the river. Then the panel truck, which basically carries food and water, was to go down the bank into the river, and he got down the bottom, was not in a low enough gear and stalled out. As soon as you try and go, the wheels spin and down you go. So they got him out and back up the bank where he could get in the right gear and make a run. After that, everybody kind of learned the lesson, and one after the other, just one at a time, make a dash across.
Elbagosh is home to 14-year-old Nakulea. She's already been married for a few years, but she's been collecting water at this riverbed for longer than that. Every day, Nakulea walks 1.3 miles round trip to collect water. Sometimes she must make the hike up to 5 times, a total of 6.5 miles in one day.
شغل كرجوا إذا يخيمك وما يفذ وبعد بيشي دق وني اللي خطأ ألم لني وقطني يوجع قطو ني قدني بيجا في التاني جا أرمس التاني هتشميها ألخا بيعلي جو ألخا قوم قديما ألخا قوم علي دوا بيقديما أفني كرجة.
And what I heard from the experts is that there wasn't water very close to the church that they could ascertain, and they used pretty sophisticated ways of analyzing what's down there. Fracture trace analysis and anyway, some very complicated things. We brought in experts from the United States that did all this analysis. And he went right by the church and said, well, really there isn't much of a chance, hardly any chance at all. So let's go over here by this old riverbed and let's look there. He says, well, you've got a 50-50 chance of hitting some water here in the riverbed. But the locals said, once in a while when we get rain, we get a torrent of rain, it comes down through that riverbed, and it would wipe out the well and it would ruin it. So we don't want you to do that. We want you to drill up by the church. We said, well, there's no water up by the church. And they said, well, drill anyway. So I'm sitting there talking to our country director, Ronnie, just a couple days ago. We're saying, well, what should we do? Well, they're never going to understand if we go out and drill in the riverbed. If we drill up by the church and it's dry, it's dry. There's nothing they can say. So that's the decision we made. We would invest the money to drill up near the church regardless.
The team set to work for 2 hard days drilling. In the end, despite the discouraging geological report, they hit water at Elbagosh. Nakulea would have clean, accessible water without any sand scooping required.
Man says there's no water here. God says there's water. And there it was. And when you realize that you are living right in the middle of something, it's just as powerful as any biblical story. It's the same thing. It is a biblical story. It's just a modern biblical story. You're living right in the middle of it. And the fact that we get to participate in it, we get to watch it, we get to even make decisions about it. We pray to God and He does something about the prayer, and it's real. You can't help but be humbled. For me, it's just kind of washes over you, and the reality might hit later. But for me right now, I'm really excited. I'm really, really pleased. I'm grateful to God.
Although water was found, like much of the groundwater near Lake Turkana, it was salty. It would still be welcome for bathing, hygiene, cooking, and even for watering animals, but there was a certain degree of disappointment that it wasn't completely sweet.
So this is not without impact, even if it stays salty. I mean, you can read the Bible and you can see that God can change the salty water to pure if that's His will, but it's got to have to be done for His glory, and then it's obvious that He did it. That's what I think. And I don't know if that'll happen or how it'll happen. It's an ongoing story.
Just hours later, Noble received word that the water turned sweet.
Earlier this morning, I said that the water here at Elbagosh in northern Kenya was going to be salty, or probably salty. But we come out here today and we find out that the water is pure, drinkable, and we are excited. They have about 13 gallons a minute, which is more than what they need. And these people are excited, we're excited, pure water.
With extra materials left over, Maranatha's team went on to drill 3 more wells in the area, although one of them came up dry. The one-day church team erected 6 new structures for the growing Adventist membership here as well. The entire experience had a profound impact on the growing faith of Maranatha's crew who were not Adventist, culminating in the baptism of 6 workers in Lake Turkana.
It was beyond description for me because I never anticipated these great people I've worked with for 2 weeks are the very ones I'll be baptizing. It was just almost emotionally overwhelming.
And it's not just Maranatha's crew members making decisions for Christ. Entire villages in Ileret are receiving the spiritual water they are finding.
People are coming to draw water and they're hearing the singing, they're hearing the preaching. As they are drawing their physical water, they are being fed spiritual water. And it's already shown that that contact, that influence, draws people more and more to know more about the church, and they become Adventists. So Jesus' link to the woman at the well, where her mind was fixated on, oh, you're going to give me water, and Jesus says, I will give you living water, and she says, what? You know, the mental picture that Jesus painted there for that woman is the same one that's painted here. We will help you with the physical water, but you will also gain the spiritual water. And that's what we are seeing happening to this very day, right here in northern Kenya, which has been unreached by any religious group forever.
You know, we've been dreaming about this ever since we first came up here. Is there water? Isn't there water? Can we help the people? Can't we help the people? The churches are nice and they help. The wells, the water, that's life-changing in every aspect, whether the person is a Christian, whether they aren't. They all have needs. So, yeah, seeing the water, seeing some of the people pushing the pump and the children, and actually not always children, putting their hands in there and rubbing it over their head. It's kind of exciting. You know, it's beyond exciting. It's miraculous because since we didn't know what to expect, and here's the water that we've been thinking about ever since we first came up here. It's hard to explain. It's impactful. big time. If you're not impacted, you're not alive.